Get ready for the crash. All the signs are there once again, telling us that a crash is on the way. Just like the Great Recession of 2007, all the indicators are going off. Today's video comes from the Clear Value Tax channel. His channel will be linked in the description of this video so that you can go check him out and support his content. Watch to the end of the video to fully understand why we are now facing a major crash like none other. It will be called the Greater Depression. And now let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Today's video is a housing market update. Let's talk about home prices, mortgage interest rates, and predictions for 2025. So here's the most recent data, which is October because November hasn't ended yet. In the US, median home prices have gone up by 5.1% compared to 12 months ago. Okay, so I'm well aware that that is a very difficult pill to swallow for people who've been saying that there's a housing market crash, it's right around the corner, and then they get defensive because they hear that home prices have gone up. And then they get very defensive. They say, oh, well, national prices, that doesn't matter. Real estate's more about localities. It's about the local markets. Okay, then let's look at the local markets. They say Florida is the worst of it. So let's look at Florida. In Tampa, home prices are down 2.3% compared to their peak from 2022. Home prices are down a whopping 0.4% compared to last year. So take a look at the home value index of Tampa. So sure, home prices have stopped shooting up, but they're not crashing. Okay, so the crash callers are wrong in Tampa, Florida. So let's take a look at Miami. Home prices are up 2.3% compared to 12 months ago. So look at the chart. Home prices have not crashed in Miami, or maybe we just have different definitions of what a housing market crash is. So let me ask this question to people that are watching from Florida, and this is a sincere question. My question is, are homes now affordable in Florida? Because apparently a lot of YouTubers, content creators have been saying that the housing market has crashed in Florida. So I'm not talking about dilapidated homes in unwanted areas. I'm talking about, are there many good homes available at affordable prices in Florida? Because apparently people have been saying there's been a severe housing market crash in Florida. Let me know. So listen, I want to tell you this. I understand that many YouTubers have been telling you that there's going to be a housing market crash in 2021, 2022, oh, now it's 2023, oh, it's pushed back to 2024, oh, now it's 2025, right?
I just want to show you guys a comment that came up in Angry's Crypto Academy. So this actually came from one of the people who are one of the paid subscribers. And he says, I bought well over 500 worth of XRP. Mark my words, it will be more than $1,000 a coin. I bought 5 Litecoin when they dipped to $91 after holding 10 when they were $65 last year. Dodge is a no-brainer. 4 years of Trump in charge, plus Elon tweeting about Dodge will make it skyrocket. SHIB will skyrocket because boomers want to get in. This is where we strike and take from the boomers. They stole our futures, but we will take their pensions as they sleep on the streets while we dine on 5-course meals in our 20-acre land nice home. Holy cow. So guys, just to be clear, we all know that the crash is coming, no matter what anyone says, and you need to protect yourself by investing. The crypto market is headed up, and the chance to create life-changing wealth is slipping away fast. Bitcoin may already be out of reach for most, but there are 5 hidden cryptocurrencies poised to explode 100 times or even 1,000 times in the coming bull run. These coins are flying under the radar now, but not for long. This is your chance to act before the masses wake up. Governments and corporations are gearing up for the next crypto revolution, and those who position themselves early will reap the rewards. These 5 game-changing coins have the potential to turn a small investment into generational wealth. At Angry's Crypto Academy, we break down the exact cryptos to hold, why they're set to soar, and how you can secure them with minimal risk, even if you're new to crypto. The clock is ticking, these opportunities won't last long, and missing out could mean losing your chance at financial freedom. Don't wait. Discover the top 5 cryptos to own before it's too late. Click the link in the description to read the full blog and start your journey to wealth today.
So I want to explain this to gullible people to hopefully cure the gullibility. I understand that if you're looking to buy a home, I understand, it's logical why you want home prices to crash so that you can buy an affordable home, a home at a very affordable price, right? However, many YouTubers have been telling you that home prices are going to crash to get your hopes up when clearly it's not happening. And they're just clickbaiting you. Like, this is very straightforward. They clickbait you because they make more money off those clickbait videos, and they get your hopes up. They give you bad information. And sadly, a lot of people are relying on that information, and it's bad information. So again, median home prices in the US are up 5.1% compared to last year. But I want to show you this heat map of markets that are still hot and rising and where they're cooling. So as you can see, there's been no relief in California and the Northeast. Okay, so look at San Francisco. Home prices have fallen 10% from its peak, but prices are trending back up again. Home prices are up 1.4% compared to last year. Los Angeles is basically near record highs. Home prices are up 4.6% this year. New York City, home prices are up 7% this year. Now, let me answer these frequently asked questions. So, is there a housing market bubble? The answer is yes, of course there is. Does that mean that home prices must come down? The answer is no. Home prices can, even in a bubble environment, the bubble can get bigger. Home prices can still keep shooting up. Now, I want to ask you this. How much was the median home price in the US in 1990? It was $120,000. Do you think, well, home prices right now, they're above $400,000, is so high, so prices have to revert back down. They have to go back down to $120,000. Is that how it works? No, of course not. I'm going to be realistic. How much was the median home in the US in 1950? It was $7,000. A median home in the US cost $7,000. So, okay, well, if you look at home prices now compared to 1950, well, okay, I guess prices have to crash back down to $7,000. No, that's not how it works.
So let's be very, very clear. No one really has money to be purchasing these properties right now. If you look at Hollywood elites, if you look at a lot of the wealthy are selling off their properties. They've been selling them off for years. Right now, we are seeing a major cultural shift. And the problem is this: banks do not want prices for homes to come down, because if the prices come down, then they lose. They lose substantial amounts of money. What the boomers have been doing, the bad apple boomers have been doing for decades now, is they have just continually refinanced when rates were low and locked in those rates. As a result of that, they have been treating these properties as a piggy bank for decades. They rent out the properties or part of the properties for extreme amounts of money. And because they control all of the real estate, they force younger people who need a place to live to pay their extortion. As a result, you don't have any choice whatsoever. Now you're handing over more than half of your paycheck to the boomer landlord, or your entire paycheck to the boomer landlord. How are you supposed to buy food? How are you supposed to survive? Their response, just like the federal government, just like the feds have said, is to go and make more money. The reason why you're struggling is because you're a brokey. It's obvious that you're not making enough money, so you need to make more. Well, here's the problem. What if I live in somewhere like San Francisco, or a place, I don't know, you're like, don't live in San Francisco. Yeah. But what if you live in a place where the rent is very, very high? The cost of living is very, very high. So even if you make $200,000 a year, the place where you live, it is hard to find anything that does not cost a substantial amount. You guys might say, oh, that's not for real. Guys, New York City, San Diego, these types of places. Don't live in New York City. See, this is how stupid a lot of you guys are. This is how crazy many of you are. The very moment that I say something like, well, these are places where the rent's high, well, you shouldn't live there. It's such a level of stupidity. All right? Not everyone can just relocate that easily. All right. Sometimes people have friends, everything in one place, and it is not that easy to just walk away. This is where your family is. This is where your doctors are. This is the place that you grew up. You know, moving to some place where you do not know and no one know anyone, and you don't even have a job lined up there. It's not a very intelligent thing to do. Okay, it's not smart. Of course, you do what you have to, but a lot of the times, people who move away and people who go out to places like the middle of nowhere, those are people who don't have anything to lose and everything to gain. Or they see the writing on the wall and they're just going to have to cut their losses. But it's not that easy just to walk away from your entire life and everything you've worked hard for. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're making $200,000 and you can't afford the rent, you need to change something. You have to, I mean, and that means if you need to go and rent a room, or you need to go and live in your car. You think, buy a van. I'm very serious. If you cannot survive on $200,000 a year, you need to go and buy an RV or something along the lines and live in it. Or get buy a piece of land somewhere. You can afford it. Trust me, you can. All right. Buy a piece of land or rent a piece of land, whatever, and put a mobile home on it. Buy an old SUV and live in that. And a lot of people don't want to struggle, but you're losing everything. No one's going to feel sorry for you, so you have to be mindful, or are basically do a long commute. There was a college student who basically started flying to his classes on a regular basis, and every single week he started flying to his classes. And the reason why he was doing this is it was cheaper to fly to his classes than it was to pay the rent. And it sounds insane, but that's how bad rent is right now, where it is cheaper for a lot of people to just fly every week to their classes that's in another place. So you go somewhere where it's cheaper and you just fly to your classes and then fly back. And it's crazy. So the value of real estate is overly inflated right now, and we're going to see a major collapse. But it's really more so, it's going to end up being a form of stagflation. And I know you guys hate the term stagflation, but more so than outright deflation where the prices go down, they're just going to stop going up. Okay? People are going to stop purchasing, and renters are going to begin either walking away, squatting, or yeah, but people are going to begin waking up and saying, we're not paying these prices anymore. Hell on earth is coming. Very hard times are coming. And guys, you really have to be prepared for that. Don't sit on your hands until everything goes downhill. You need to take advantage of the boom that is going to come in various markets, specifically in the crypto space. So guys, I'm only going to say this once. Do not listen to these professional gamblers. We are heading for a period of stagflation, and it's going to be absolutely nasty. When the banks collapse, everything changes. ATMs will freeze, withdrawals will stop, and millions will find themselves unable to access their money. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. History shows us that once the cracks appear, the system goes downhill fast, and the scramble to protect wealth begins. When this happens, people will panic, desperately trying to convert their devalued assets into crypto. But by then, it'll be too late for most. Only those who prepared in advance, those who set up decentralized bank accounts and secured their wealth in crypto, will thrive and miss the chaos. At Angry's Crypto Academy, we'll teach you how to stay ahead of the collapse. You'll learn how to safeguard your funds, leverage decentralized banking, and position yourself to profit when the system fails. The warning signs are here, and time is running out. The banks won't warn you when they fail, but we are. Don't wait until ATMs stop working or your funds are frozen. Join Angry's Crypto Academy today and prepare for what's coming. Act now, because when the collapse begins, it'll already be too late. Click the link in the description to sign up. So guys, let's talk about some of the warning signs of the Great Recession, because it's extremely relevant right now. The Great Recession had several warning signs. Housing market bubble. So that was one of the big ones. rapidly increasing home prices, and a surge in subprime mortgage lending. Does this sound similar to you? The banks are overspent and the prices of these homes are way overvalued. High levels of debt. Both consumers and financial institutions were heavily leveraged. So, the banks are in such trouble right now, they don't even want you carrying your debt beyond a month. They want their money back the same month, guys. Like, this is how I use my credit cards right now. I try to pay off my cards the same month. I try not to carry a balance at all. I use credit cards because of the benefits I get, the points, and the security that it provides when I purchase things. For example, I purchased a laptop. The laptop did not work well. I sent it back. They did not give me the money back for the protection plan. Even though they canceled it, it's been almost a month. So I was able to go to my credit card agency. They were able to tell me, hey, they actually have 15 days to get you your money back. All right, it's now past 15 days. I filed a claim. That money was now put on hold. It was hundreds of dollars. And they told credit card agency tells me you do not have to pay for this while we are investigating it. I just looked at my credit card app right now. They've already taken it off. It's not showing as a part of my balance yet. So does that mean they finished their investigation? No. But this is just to show you how things absolutely work. That is a protection for me right there. I'm not going to go and purchase expensive things using cash anymore, using my debit card, because when things go wrong, you cannot get that money back. You have to look at every company out there, every person out there, as they are trying to take advantage of you. You hope for the best, but you prepare for the worst. There are some people who will tell you that angry guy is way too angry. Angry guy is just spouting a lot of fear. And then the irony is that these are the same people who will be laughing at you when things go downhill. I had one guy in my comments actually say that 4 years ago, he was one of the people that were criticizing cryptocurrency buyers. And then he decided to jump in himself. And boy, oh boy, is he glad he did. So he was one of the terrible critics. He left a comment on my video letting me know he was one of the terrible critics of cryptocurrency. Imagine all of the people that he stopped from investing in crypto because of the things that were going on. And then one day he decides, you know what, it's getting too hot. Let me jump in. And he made significant amounts of profit off his investments. And now he's a crypto evangelist. Do you see this, guys? This is why you do not listen to people. You don't listen to people or you will regret it. Guys, let me share a story with you. I want you to hear this. All right? Years ago, I listened to crypto critics. They said it was a scam. This was actually a very, very close friend of mine. So I stayed out of it. This was over 10 years ago. They said I was told that it was money they were using it was money being used for crime on the dark web. Guys, don't forget that my background is as a computer scientist. All right. Do not forget that I studied computer science. So of course, going back more than 10 years ago, of course I knew what was going on. All my friends were programmers. We were all coders. All right. I've been doing developing since 2001 at least. All right. Building businesses and brands. Guys, so of course I was in this space, and I had friends who were like, "Oh no, it's for crime. That's what they use for crime." And the FBI, man, you touch that stuff, the FBI is gonna come for you. And instead of buying it, I was a fool. I could have secured roughly about 10,000 bitcoins. All right, I knew where they were. I understood the technology. I could have bought them for pennies, but my friends were like, "Oh, this is what they used to buy their drugs." Like, for example, I had a friend. He's like, "Oh yeah, this is what he uses." Like someone that he works with. This is what he uses to buy his drugs. This is how he buys his drugs. Guys, back then there were all these programmers also using Bitcoin to buy stuff. This was over 10 years ago. All these programmers were using Bitcoin to buy stuff that they wanted. All right, guys, it was crazy back then. But I was so afraid that I listened to these idiots, listened to my stupid friend. Don't touch it because I'll end up in prison. And it's like, why? Why did I listen to this just jerk, to these idiots? Do you see the consequences? Oh my God. And then guys, you go and you find out that the same critics were secretly investing in it, getting rich while I stayed broke. And they don't want you to succeed. They'll scare you, shame you, and then profit while you miss out. Guys, don't let that happen again. By the way, I'm just saying right now, you know, I I want you guys to listen. I want you guys to go study and learn about crypto right now. For a limited time, you can actually join Angry's Crypto Academy for the cost of a cup of coffee. Learn how to buy, learn how to sell, learn how to profit, and know which coins you should be investing in. Which coins that are the coins that are going to increase by 100 times or 1,000 times. I've been in the crypto space for over 10 years now, so I've learned a massive amount as a result of that. But I regret the fact that I did not jump in about 15 years ago, almost 15 years ago, when the technology first manifested. That's one of the biggest regrets of my life. So getting back to this whole recession thing, the warning signs of the Great Recession were the housing market bubble, high levels of debt, so both consumers and financial institutions were heavily leveraged, rising default rates, increasing numbers of mortgage defaults and foreclosures. So, what are we seeing? What are we actually seeing in terms of defaulting? Credit card debt. People have been living off credit card debt for years. The bad muffins, Gen Zers, they're like 50 to 100K in debt right now, and it's still rising. And the little jerks, all they do is just commit, credit card fraud, or they go and file for bankruptcy. And then on top of it, claim that they're mentally incompetent, so they shouldn't be responsible for their student loans either. And they're actually getting them discharged. I just want to let you guys know, Gen Zers are successfully getting their student loans discharged on the grounds that they are mentally incompetent. I want you just to think about that very, very carefully when it comes to Gen Z. All right, because no one is going to argue over it. That's the thing. No one is going. If a Gen Zer goes to court and says, "Yeah, man, I am mentally incompetent. I am not capable of taking care of myself. I am a failure in the workforce. I am not dependable or reliable. I am not someone that should be trusted with any responsibility. I am extremely mentally ill. If you don't believe me, go and speak to my former employers." All they have to do is go and speak. Guys, a lot of times they won't even bother. They're like, "Oh, you're Gen Z. Stamp approved. We know exactly who you are." Guys, that's how, and people are like, "Oh, the kids will be okay." Sure, the 27-year-olds right now are the worst of the bunch, but the ones that are still in high school, they'll turn it around for the rest of the generation. You've got to be freaking kidding me. All right. So what else were some warning signs of Great Recession? Financial market instability, significant losses in mortgage-backed securities and other financial instruments. So the official start of the Great Recession was December 2007, and it lasted until June 2009. But the effects of it were felt far into the 2010s. Far into the 2010s. What were the causes of the Great Recession? The primary cause of the Great Recession was the collapse of the U.S. housing market, which had experienced a bubble due to excessive lending and risky mortgage practices. When housing prices fell, many homeowners defaulted on their mortgages, leading to a sharp decline in the value of mortgage-backed securities held by financial institutions. These are very, very important things to consider, guys. Very important things to consider that we have to be looking out for. So, what was the bank's role in all of this? The banks played a major role in causing the Great Recession, and they did this in a variety of ways. These are bad organizations. So let's look at some of the ways that they contributed to this, or they caused it to happen. Issuing subprime mortgages, so banks issued high-risk loans to borrowers with poor credit histories. Securitizing mortgages. Banks bundled these risky mortgages into mortgage-backed securities and sold them to investors. They're still doing it. Leveraging. Banks were highly leveraged, meaning they borrowed heavily to invest in these risky securities. Ignored risk. Many banks ignored the warning signs and continued to engage in risky lending and investment practices. Now, after the banks did all of this horrible stuff, what ended up happening? Several major banks received bailouts during the Great Recession through the Troubled Assets Relief Program, which was called TARP. Guys, the numbers I'm about to read to you are insane. Citigroup received $45 billion. Bank of America received $45 billion. JP Morgan Chase received $25 billion. Wells Fargo received $25 billion. Goldman Sachs received $10 billion. Morgan Stanley received $10 billion. Guys, this is hundreds of billions of dollars. Okay? Hundreds of billions of dollars received by the largest banks in the United States and in the world for that matter. All of the major banks were bailed out. Citigroup, major bank bailed out. Bank of America, major bank bailed out. JP Morgan Chase, major bank bailed out. Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, guys, how the heck does Morgan Stanley? Guys, and you're telling me that these banks did not even, like Morgan Stanley needed $10 billion to survive? Guys, just to be clear, this was like the bare amount of money that they could use to survive. This means that they didn't have those deposits. So you had to give them a bare minimum. Citigroup had to have a bare minimum of $45 billion, even though they're supposed to be managing assets likely worth well into the trillions, hundreds of billions or trillions. They didn't even have $45 billion sitting around. Does that make any sense to you? It's the same exact thing is happening again right now. And, what are the impacts? When we look at the bailouts and the impacts, the bailouts were necessary to prevent the collapse of the financial system. Without these bailouts, many of these banks would have likely failed, leading to a more severe economic crisis. The bailouts helped stabilize the financial system, restore confidence, and prevent a complete economic meltdown. But guys, it didn't entirely restore confidence, because think about it. That meant that these banks did not have that money. We never should have bailed these bastards out. We absolutely never should have bailed them out. I want you guys to think about something else very, very quickly. Think about this notion. What do we call it when the value of assets falls as well as the value of money? Well, first let's reverse it. When the value of money decreases, what's that called? When the value of money decreases, it's called inflation. Inflation occurs when the general price levels of goods and services in an economy rises over time, reducing the purchasing power of money. This means that each unit of currency buys fewer goods and services. Inflation is typically measured using price indices such as consumer price index, so CPI. However, what is it called when the value of assets, for example, real estate, falls as well as the value of money? When the value of assets, for example, real estate, and the value of money both fall, it is often referred to as stagflation, with asset deflation or debt deflation cycle, depending on the specific context. Stagflation with asset deflation, if the economy is experiencing slow or stagnant growth or even a recession, combined with falling asset prices and inflation, a decrease in the purchasing power of money, this complex scenario can arise. It can result in reduced investment and consumer spending, creating a vicious economic cycle. Now, what about debt deflation? This occurs when falling asset prices exacerbate economic stress, often in periods of deflation, a decrease in the general price level. If the value of money is losing purchasing power during this time, it can lead to compounded issues in the financial system. Both scenarios are rare and complex because inflation decreasing money value and deflation decreasing asset value typically do not occur simultaneously. However, such conditions can result from financial crises, mismanaged monetary policies, or external shocks. Doesn't it seem like that's what we're going through right now? And take into consideration, just because home prices remain high does not actually mean that they have not stagnated. You're going to say, well, that makes no sense, Angry. The banks are not in the business of losing money. The only thing of value that we actually have in the US right now is real estate. So even though these prices, even though these properties are extremely overly inflated and they've been able to trick people into spending all of their earnings to buy a home and so forth, the fact remains that that's not what they're worth. So the simple truth is that they're going to keep the prices high, and they're going to just basically try to ride the market out because they don't want to take any losses. Okay? These properties are not worth what they're selling them for. These properties are worth very, very little. These so-called, you've got starter homes selling for $2 million. You've got to be kidding me. All right? Houses that were selling for $7,000, $8,000, back at the end of the 1960s are now $3 million. You've got to be kidding me. All right? It's a piece of junk. Absolute piece of junk. But they're not going, guys, they've been able to inflate the value of these things by hundreds, even thousands of times. All right? And as a result of that, they've loaned, all of that money is gone. They gave it to the boomers. The boomers just kept on refinancing when rates were low. So they kept on kicking up the cost of these properties, increasing the value by saying that, hey, we control the entire market, so we're not going to leave anything for future generations. We'll just keep on refinancing, and we're going to all do it. The property value will keep on increasing, and generations that come after us, they'll have no choice but to pay these exuberant amounts of money. And the boomers are staying in their homes longer than ever before. They're not retiring and going away. They're still partying. Most boomers, when they reached like the ages of that they're at right now, they were going into retirement homes. That's not happening now. The boomers are sticking around. The boomers are continuing to vote. The boomers have not, forget about passing the torch to younger generations. They've turned us into their slaves. They stole our futures while we were in diapers. We've become wage slaves for the boomers to subsidize their living. Guys, for every tax dollar that's collected, roughly half of it is spent on the boomers to pay for their health care, their social security, their housing, their food, cost of living. And as more of them retire, it's only going to get worse from there. And despite all of this, the fastest growing group of people to become homeless in the US right now are the baby boomers. Half of all baby boomers have nothing saved for retirement. And from those who do have something saved, 70% of them have $100,000 or less. And while the average boomer spends $53,000 a year, there's no way that they're going to be able to live off that retirement savings, even when you factor in Social Security. And when you say to the boomers, because they were told by their parents to not depend on Social Security, they turn around and say, well, no one ever told us to save. Guys, give people enough time. Let them speak long enough, and they will tell on themselves. The boomers tell on themselves. They were irresponsible. They went through such great economic periods that they believed that the party would always keep on going, and they would be able to continue extracting wealth and resources, using the state from other generations. It's theft at the highest accord.
That doesn't make sense. If you didn't get the memo, home prices in the long run, they just go up. Now, if you're trying to time the housing markets to wait for that crash, for that perfect opportunity to buy your home, I want to tell you this story. And in this story, you can be the judge whether my friend in this story is an idiot or not. So this is a story. My friend bought a home in Austin, Texas back in 2007. So this is right when homes were basically at their peak. After he bought the home, shortly after, prices went down and then they eventually crashed, okay? So he held the home. Since then, he still has a home. That home has gone up in value by about $500,000, okay? I have my other friend, he bought a home in Austin, Texas in about 2010, so a few years later. So this is close to rock bottom prices, okay? He's held the home since then. So since then, that home has gone up in value by about $550,000, okay? So listen, My first friend who had bad timing, he bought near the P.
Don't expect things to get any better, guys. Right now, you need to be loading up on crypto. You need to be loading up on assets. You need to be loading up on skills, learning new skills. You need to learn how to build a business and a brand. We're going to be launching the Content Creator Academy very soon for you guys. The very first course is already done so that you guys can begin learning how to create your own business online, do what I do or do something similar. Guys, you have to start doing this. You have to start doing this, or you're going to regret it. You're 100% going to regret it. Many of you are like, I don't care if it all crashes, it crashes. Listen, you'll be out there crying like a baby in the streets, okay? Many of you don't know what it means to be truly hungry. Over 10 years ago, okay, almost 15 years ago, I experienced homelessness while I was working on my first graduate degree. And while working on my first graduate degree, I was on the streets. I was so hungry at times I would nibble on my hand because I was that hungry. There were people who would walk by and just talk crap to me. I was clean, I was showered, I was wearing clean clothing, but just because I was homeless, they would act like, "Oh my gosh, the smell," because I was sitting with all the other homeless people. Or I was in an area where there were homeless people and they knew I was homeless. This is how people treat you. I'm just sharing this with you guys. Just like many homeless people, I had to eat garbage off the side of the road. Many of y'all are not hard. You don't know what it means to survive. You don't know what it means. You don't know what it's like to have to go to the bathroom outdoors while someone is watching. You have no shred of privacy. You don't know what it's like when the police are constantly waking you up at 4 a.m. and telling you to grab your stuff and move. Or, you get robbed by the crackheads where you turn your back for a minute and all your stuff is gone. They sold it and now they're trying to console you by offering you crack. The first crack rock is free. Many of you will not survive it. Gen Z definitely won't survive it. They're cooked. They are cooked. This is a very, very mean and evil world we live in. And if you don't know this, if you're not prepared, you're gonna be screwed. And those of you that are sitting there and acting like you don't care, you're going to find yourselves in a world of hurt, a world of pain, a world of suffering because you wanted everything for free. Because you didn't want to have to invest anything. You didn't want to have to sacrifice. You didn't even want to invest your time. You're at home playing video games right now on Steam. And all of that stuff, listen to me, all of your access to Steam is eventually going to be cut off, or they're going to start charging you to access your games. This is why I tell you guys to get onto GOG. You won't have food, you won't have water. You don't know what it's like to be so thirsty you feel like you're going to die. I was out there with people who were about to die from thirst. Die from thirst. You don't know what it's like to not have a dollar in your pocket, to live with no money whatsoever. So many of you are listening comfortably right now. You're like, I'm not comfortable. I have nothing. Do you have a roof over your head? Yes. Do you have food in your belly? Yes. Do you have a bed to sleep in? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Do you have entertainment? Do you have a Nintendo Switch or a gaming PC or a gaming laptop? Yes. Do you have a cell phone, a smartphone? Yes. Okay. And why are you upset? Because I didn't get the things I wanted. All right. So how about working towards them? I'm in my 50s or I'm in my 40s. Blah, 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 blah. Excuses, excuses, excuses. The boomers stole our future. The boomers stole our future. They don't give a damn. All right. Guys, just like this guy said earlier in the video, if the boomers stole our future, then let's steal their pension. Okay. They stole our futures, but we will steal their pension. Because they've destroyed the markets, they've destroyed the housing market, they've destroyed the stock market. They hold 80% of the stock market. The baby boomers hold 80% of the stock market. And when they start pulling money out of the stock market, guys, you're going to see a major meltdown. This is another thing that you have to consider. Evidently, there are actually rules that require withdrawals from 401k after a certain point. You can't just indefinitely keep your money in 401k forever. For the boomers who have 401k plans, boomers and older Gen Xers, and let me tell you something about the Gen Xers. The Gen Xers aren't stupid. Many Gen Xers are tech savvy. They are guys, Don't mess with Gen X. Stop sleeping on Gen X. Gen X is not an Gen X. We built the technology that you're on right now. Okay? We know exactly how to use it. All the old people, all the people, the reviewers on YouTube that are teaching people about technology. All right? These are all Gen Xers. Okay? Don't mess with us. So as soon as Gen X gets the opportunity to start filing for Social Security, if there's anything left at that point, or as soon as they can start emptying their 401k, they're going to start pillaging these things. The baby boomers, right off the bat, are going to be pillaging Social Security. They're already doing it. They're going to empty their 401ks. What's the thing that about 401ks? Most 401ks are vested into stocks, even if they're mutual funds. But if everyone is pulling their money out of their 401ks and the money that is vested into those stocks starts to come out, what's going to happen to those mutual funds that are relatively safe investments? They're going to start to crash. And you have to remember, while they are relatively safe investments, one of the reasons why they're relatively safe investments is because they don't really go up, they don't really go down, but there's often also no real innovation. And if there's no real innovation, when they start to crash, they're not going to have a recourse because they're used to this stable income. But once once all of the money starts to leave their shares, they really have no recourse. They need younger investors to step in. But younger investors are not going to step into the boomer stock market. They're going to be buying crypto. And because they're so dependent on the boomers who hold 80% of all the stocks, when the boomers start pulling money out, they're going to be screwed. And of course, the boomers are going to be looking for other places to put their money as the stock markets and the banks melt down. So they're going to begin jumping into crypto rapidly. And they're going to buy all the cryptos they hear about, like Dodge and Shiba, Dodge right off the bat, and Bitcoin. And guess who's going to be sitting there and waiting to get that money? We are. They stole our futures, but we are going to steal their pensions. Get ready for the crash, guys. Get ready for the crash. Guys, let me ask you something. Let's have a heart to heart. Let me talk to you the way that Steve from Blue's Clues would have talked to you. You remember Steve? Isn't Steve great? We all need a Steve in our lives. Let me ask you something. If everything fell apart tomorrow, if banks closed their doors, ATMs stopped working, and the economy collapsed, what would you do? How would you protect yourself, your family, and your future? That's not just a hypothetical. Look around. Our economy is crumbling, and those who aren't preparing now are going to be left with nothing. No money, no resources, no way to survive. But there's a way to protect yourself and even thrive when everything else is falling apart. In my latest blog post over at Angry's Crypto Academy, I break down an incredible opportunity, a simple $10 move that could not only prepare you for what's coming, but could also set you up for true financial freedom. This isn't hype. It's about being ready when others are panicking. At the Crypto Academy, we teach you everything you need to know about crypto, how to buy, sell, and even day trade crypto for a living. We alert you to new trends before they explode, so you can profit before anyone else even knows what's happening. When the collapse comes, and it will, you'll be in a position not just to survive, but to thrive. While others are struggling, you'll be the one prepared, buying when everyone else is selling. This isn't optional knowledge, it's critical. For some, it will be the difference between life and death. And for a limited time, you can join the Academy for the cost of a cup of coffee. Click the link in the description to check out the blog post and learn more. Don't wait. This knowledge could be the one thing standing between you and financial disaster. The window is closing, And you don't want to be the one looking back, wishing you had acted. Protect yourself. Protect your family. Be ready. I'll see you on the other side. What do you guys think? Do you agree that a major crash is about to happen? And those who are prepared are going to reap the rewards, while those who fail to prepare are going to find themselves homeless and hungry? Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away, and shares.